difficult when we have a federal program that hasn't increased with the cost of living adjustments or inflation.
Tonight, a food support program for northern communities is about to take a huge hit.
For you, especially with this statement claim, is that we received the statement claim.
The fight over a little cabin in the woods is going to court.
We keep saying this will be our last year. Now, we did, but we said that last year.
Too good to let it go. Tom Jackson returns with his 36th Huron Carol concert. Tanche, and welcome to APTN National News on this beautiful Wednesday evening. I'm Sav Jonesa. Last month, we told you about a cabin in the woods that has set off alarm bells for a Northern Ontario First Nation. It forced the Temagami First Nation and the Teme-Ogama Anishinaabe to take legal action against the province of Ontario and two Métis Nation of Ontario members. Here's Annette Francis with more on that story.
This cabin, located on the traditional territory of the Teme-Ogama Anishinaabe and Temagami First Nation, is at the center of a battle that may end up in court. According to Mark Dakotu, he and his brother Pete, who is employed by Ontario's Ministry of Natural Resources, or MNR, as a game warden, have now been served.
For you, especially with this statement claim, is that we received the statement claim.
The MNR gave the Dakotus the right to build this incidental cabin on Pond Lake under the claim of Métis rights. Dakotu says he went through the proper application process with the ministry for the build.
We've been hunting there for all our lives, and my father's and his father. My father lived at Emerald Lake when they would go. It was Gordon that had the lumbering industry up there, and he lived there. There's my grandmother was there. She showed me how to make otter tail lures for lake trout. This is all stuff that is all Métis custom.
He says the intent was to have a place for people who used to harvest in that area.
We did mention the other reason for the camp was not just our harvesting, but it was to have other Aboriginal people, First Nation people, come with us to that spot and do some talks, do some storytelling from the elders to the younger people and the people that didn't know about, the culture, and the Métis culture and then the First Nation culture, and teach people how to go on a canoe, teach kids how to catch a fish, how to clean a partridge.
In 2017, Ontario and the Métis Nation of Ontario created 6 new Métis communities. 2 of them, Abitibi and Mattawa, claimed harvesting rights in the same traditional territory claimed by the Teme-Ogama Anishinaabe and Temagami First Nation. John Turner, the second chief of the Teme-Ogama Anishinaabe, says the Métis have no history in the Dakamannan.
There's no overlapping Métis rights. There's no distinct Métis families known in the area. Quite the contrary. We're aware of culturally French-Canadian families that came through led by Father Parody. It's an interesting history there as well. They tried to set up shop in Lake Temagami at one time.
According to Temagami Chief Shelley Moore-Frappier, in 2020, it came to their attention that the cabin was built on their traditional territory, and they began questioning the MNR about the cabin approval. In September, they evicted the brothers and set up a camp in protest. And last month, they commenced legal action to get an injunction to have the cabin removed, according to their statement of claim.
I think the whole point of this is it's not a personal thing with the Dakotus. This is about rights and assertions in our homeland, which have yet to be addressed with the Crown, and we're still defining that. And then, to have these people who are MNO coming in and just asserting themselves, it's very frustrating how the Crown has been addressing, or the lack of addressing it. So I think that this needs to get addressed, and we need to figure this out.
Dayco too regrets not consulting with the First Nation leaders, but says he has a right to be on the land as well.
Land is overlapping, yes it is, but land does not belong to Métis. It does not belong to First Nation. Land belongs to everyone. What we do is are custodians of this land. We make
The
sure
Métis Nation of Ontario and the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry have so far declined to comment. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Ottawa.
A new report is criticizing Ottawa for its failure to tackle the calls to action in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The report says Canada will not complete all 94 calls until 2081. The Yellowhead Institute found that no calls to action were completed over the course of 2023. Since 2015, only 13 of the 94 recommendations from the Commission have been completed. The Institute says reconciliation has become largely stagnant in Canada, and the government has proven to be an unwilling partner. Nutrition North's Harvester Support Grant is meant to prevent food insecurity in Canada's remote flying communities. But as APTN's Trevor Wright reports, funding for the program is about to take a big hit.
The federal government is expected to scale back its funding for its Harvester Support Program by 80%. Next year's budget for the program is $8 million, according to a spokesperson from Northern Affairs Canada in an email to APTN, down from $40 million a year. According to Northern Affairs Canada, it's not a cut, but the end of time-limited funding, which started in 2021. Whatever you call it, people are worried. Programs like this need more support, not less, says the chief of Yukon's only flying community, Old Crow.
I think it's a really great program. I think it's great, but I also look at inflation, and I look at cost of living in the north, and I look at subsidies like this that's meant to, kind of bring some equity to individuals in our communities. And it's difficult when we have a federal program that hasn't increased with the cost of living adjustments or inflation. It's still sitting back at 2021, and we're now pushing on 2024. Fuel prices have increased. We see prices in food increases because, of course, we fly everything into our community.
Old Crow got $443,908 over the last 2 years, according to Nutrition North's website, the group that oversees the Harvesters program. The largest amount was doled out to Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, which covers all of Nunavut's 25 communities. NTI received $29.8 million over the same 2 years. According to Chief Ross, communities supported by Nutrition North and Harvester Support have some of the highest food prices in Canada.
A comprehensive review needs to be conducted on, the Harvester program and the Nutrition North initiative across the north, and that the communities that are the most impacted need to be supported, and there has to be equity.
Beth Kotierk was on the Nutrition North Advisory Board until recently. She says a lot of people did not see Nutrition North as a food security initiative.
I've been told to think of the Nutrition North subsidy itself as a transportation subsidy rather than, specifically for nutrition, which I just can't really agree with. I think in that case, we should name it what it is. We should call it the Northern Transport Subsidy, and not pretend like it's intended to aid food insecurity in the north.
Funding for the Harvester Support Program is expected to change on March 31st, 2024. Trevor Wright, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
We want to hear what you think about the cuts to the Harvester Support Program. Here's how to continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can find us on all of your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X, previously known as Twitter. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. We have to step aside for a moment now, but we'll see you when we return. The announcement this week that the original Star Wars movie would be translated into Anishinaabe-Moan has generated a lot of excitement. Auditions for voice actors are set to begin in 2024 in Winnipeg. For more on this, we're joined by two of the people who were integral in making the project a reality. Maigan Linklater is Director of Operations. Maigan and Carrie, thanks to you both for being here. Maigan, let's start with you. How did this all come to be?
You know, it's about 2 years ago. I was driving to work there, and a friend of mine, Dougald Lamont, he's a former MP for MLA for St. Boniface, gave me a call. I said, Maigan, you know, do you know any language instructors? And I was like, dude, man, my mother, Pat Ningwants, you know, who's just appointed to the Order of Canada, is like one of the foremost Ojibwe translators and language keepers in Canada. And I said, what's up? And he's like, well, I've been in contact with Star Wars and Lucasfilm, and you know, I've been making the pitch that we should do a translation just as the same as they did with the Navajo version. I said, dude, okay. So he was, you know, going back and forth, figuring things out and being the go-ahead. And I said, dude, I love you, but you know, let me make a short proposal, just sort of explaining, you know, the opportunity that we have. Winnipeg is central with one of the largest urban Aboriginal communities in all of Canada, with a large percentage of, like, you know, Indigenous speakers. We have a very mature film industry here, and with lots of access. We're technologically advanced. We got the infrastructure. We can do it. We got APTN. We got the University of Manitoba. We got all of this stuff here at our hands, and we're capable of doing this. And so I sent it in, and then Lucasfilm said, "Yep, if you guys find the cash, you know, then you know they would support it." And so then my mother, because of her extensive experience with in doing this type of language revitalization projects, she wrote the initial project that outlined the pre-production, the production, and the post-production components. And then from there, you know, we were able to get further partners such as University of Manitoba, APTN, and of course, you know, Lucasfilm, and that's kind of like where we. And then, of course, we developed a final submission to Canadian Heritage, and we got that on, and I kid you not, May 4th of this year.
It really sounds like the stars aligned for you. Carrie, what is the University of Manitoba's role in the project, and what do you think it could mean for language revitalization?
Well, the University of Manitoba's role, Pat Ningwants, who's been mentioned as the really, you know, key part of this project, doing the translation and also planning on doing a lot of work with the voice actors. She is on our Indigenous Studies faculty and has been teaching Indigenous language for the university for a few years. We were very lucky to bring her to our campus, and we've been in the process of building language programs around Anishinaabe and Cree over the last few years, and also are working with the province on strategic planning around Indigenous language teacher training. So, you know, one of the really exciting things for me, besides the fact that we're going to be able to support the work directly through holding the auditions on our campus, and you know, working with our film and theater department on some pieces here and there, we are also, you know, a campus community. We have a very large group of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students, and hearing the excitement of young people realizing that Indigenous language could lead to careers in translation, and careers as voice actors, and further opportunities. So many of my colleagues that you know, you always got to vet things through the boss. And so while we had a very tight circle of folks that knew about the project, you know, some of them came back to me in the last day or two and said, you know, I knew this was important, it's a film project, but I didn't expect how excited my kids or my grandkids were going to be about this project, and how proud it would make them of opportunities that they have to learn the language, and of what we can do and achieve here in Winnipeg. So I think those are all, really exciting opportunities, and the university is thrilled to be a part of it and to support Pat's role in the film.
That's fantastic. Mayingan, you're a Star Wars super fan. Your son's middle name is Jedi, but there are a lot of Indigenous super fans of Star Wars. Any idea how many voice actors may be needed and how difficult it may be to translate into Anishinaabe-Moan?
So with the Navajo version that is available on Disney Plus, I think they had about maybe 19 speaking parts there, or 19 actors, I think, potentially. So just kind of like a high-level round figure that's, is based upon what is available there. As we go through the whole translation component, we'll have to be able to identify what characters are there, how many lines that they have, all of that stuff there, because it really comes down to sort of figuring out, how many speaking parts are going to be available out there, and to just take it from there. I mean, that's essentially, like, I couldn't give you a firm number because I really don't know. I haven't did the character count on that, but definitely a huge super Star Wars fan, because I mean I think I was first 3 years old when I first saw it, and I think I saw it 50 times that summer. I mean, every week. And I think, and again, my son is named Ondig, Jedi, and initials are AJ, but every time we cross the U.S. border, the border guards are always looking, oh, you're a Jedi Knight. So, but I think in terms of being able to revitalize the Indigenous or the Anishinaabe language, I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, it's about establishing a new hope.
Mm-hmm. And Carrie, helping to revitalize the language is just one of the goals with this project. What are the other hopes?
Well, as I mentioned, Pat Ningwant has been with the university for a while now. She's been called upon to do translation before, not just here, but also with our hospitals and clinics, with legal cases. There's a lot of need for translators in our languages, and translation is a particular skill that really does need some training to go into. So I know she's interested in developing a translation track, whether that's a micro-credential or a full degree program, we're not sure yet. But that's certainly something that we'll be supporting her on developing at the university, that I think will support our whole Manitoba community.
Well, we'll have to end it there, but thanks again, and may the force be with you on this project.
Miigwech.
Miigwech.
We're going to take one more break, but when we return, an interview with the legendary musician and actor, Tom Jackson. Welcome back. Time now for a photo of the day. Decorating the Christmas tree with all things 8-year-old William loves. Fishing lures, handmade squirrel ornaments, a Métis sash, and Baby Yoda. Thank you to Ryan Schubert for sharing this great shot. If you want to be featured as our photo of the day, email your pictures to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. It will be +9 in St. John's, -3 in Charlottetown, -9 in Nain, and -18 in Kuujjuaq. It'll be -4 in Quebec City, -4 in Montreal, -1 in Toronto, and -8 in North Bay, -10 in Timmins, and -3 in Big Trout Lake, -7 in Churchill, -4 in the Pas. It'll be +1 in Gimli and +3 in Brandon. +4 in sunny in Regina, +2 in Yorkton. -5 in Stony Rapids, -3 in Buffalo Narrows. It'll be 0 in Fort McMurray, -2 in Peace River. It'll be +6 in Calgary, +5 in Edmonton. Vancouver is going to be +9 and +7 in Kamloops. -8 in Fort Nelson, +6 in Prince George. -13 in Watson Lake, and -24 in Old Crow. -8 in Yellowknife, and -22 in Norman Wells. It'll be minus 14 in Colville Lake and minus 18 in Sachs Harbor. Minus 11 in Chesterfield and minus 24 in Cambridge Bay. Minus 24 in Iqaluit and minus 23 in Resolute. It's safe to say Tom Jackson is a living legend, but he's not sure the Huron Carol concert will return next year. Despite that, the 75-year-old actor and musician says he's not stopping anytime soon. Angel Moore caught up with Jackson.
So this is Christmas.
This is the 36th year of Tom Jackson's humanitarian effort, the Huron Carol, a holiday concert to raise donations for the Red Cross. Last week, Jackson performed it live in Jabuktuk, Mi'kmaq for Halifax.
We keep saying this will be our last year. Now, we did, but we said that last year.
Over the past 36 years, the Carol has raised over $250 million for charities and relief organizations. The concert included a 6-piece band, and special guests delivered season classics to a full house.
The community here in Halifax, and dare I say the Maritimes, is so enriched by a DNA of tender, loving care. TLC. And I experience it every day.
Jackson was inspired to help others long ago when he began his own road to recovery. One night, Jackson found a person lying on the streets of Winnipeg and called an ambulance.
And it made me think, what if that was me laying there dying and the world was just walking by? And that scared the hell out of me.
Jackson just wrapped up 5 months of filming the second season of CTV Sullivan Crossing. Now he'll be heading home to Calgary to help an outreach program for those living with addictions, mental health, and homelessness.
And a lot of times people will ask me because they recognize me from something, and they ask me why I do it. And my answer is, it's because I love you. That's why. And our conversation changes.
Jackson returns to Halifax next year for season 3 of Sullivan's Crossing and maybe another Christmas concert. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabuktuk, also known as Halifax.
That's all the time we have for today. For news anytime, visit our website at aptnnews.ca. I'm Sav Jonesa, and thank you so much for joining us. Have a beautiful night.